On everybody, my name is Adrian Perez. Thank you for joining us today. I have the opportunity of sharing my testimony with you guys. Right now we're in Bakersfield, California. Right behind me is the Padre Hotel, the old Nile nightclub, man. I'm gonna tell you some stories about that place as we get into this. But I just want to start off with prayer, man. God has really put me in a position and blessed me with this testimony throughout my life, and hopefully it reaches you viewers out there and helps you through your struggles. But God, I thank you, Lord, Father God, for this beautiful day that you've given us, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity, Lord, that you're able to allow me to share my testimony, Lord, Father God, and for the things that you did put in my life, Lord, Father God, and put me through, Lord, at the moment. And at that time, I didn't realize it, Lord, Father God, but you had your hand on my life and you had a bigger plan for my life, Lord. So I thank you, Lord, Father God. I ask you to bless this testimony, bless these words, Lord, Father God, and let it reach others. All through the glory of you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, man. So my name is Adrian Perez. I was born in Bakersfield, California, not too far from here, at KMC on March 9th, 1987. Mom, Jessica, she was 16, man, 16 years old, gave birth to me, and, I didn't have my dad in the picture, so my mom was a single mom at the age of 16, and we grew up here. We grew up actually on the east side of Bakersfield, off of Oregon Street, and then we kind of bounced around from there, but yeah, so growing up, just me and my mom's, my grandfather, and we had a, pretty good thing, man. I was only child, and my mom actually ended up meeting, my stepfather when I was probably about like 4 to 5 years old, and she ended up being with him. And so this was new to my life. I never had a male figure in my life besides my grandfather. And, so things started off good. It was a pretty good thing. We were able to move from where we were living at, pretty much in poverty and, in the hood, you could say. And we got taken out. We, got to a better place. And, but along with that, man, came, some difficulties. My stepdad actually started abusing my mom, and that's something that really traumatized me because, being 5 years old, never being around another male figure, and all of a sudden you see your mom starting getting, abused and, fighting all the time and yelling and it was pretty crazy, man. And my mom actually ended up getting pregnant with my brother Joseph, and he was born, and the abuse was still there. Then my other brothers came along, my brother Michael, and then eventually my brother Anthony and my brother Joel. So we kind of went through this household, man, of just chaoticness, and it was just everybody was always on edge. It was a type of household that really got flipped over overnight. I remember my mom being this loving woman and always being affectionate towards us, and all of a sudden, man, she started becoming this really distant person, hateful, and it was sad, man. Really, it was really sad. And so we kind of grew up in this household of never saying I love you, never getting hugs, and it was just rough. I witnessed a lot. Witnessed abuse, mental abuse, also physical abuse, and we kind of went through this pattern, for a good 10 to 12 years of my life. And growing up and not really having that father figure or that family life, the only person to turn to was my grandfather. So that was pretty much like my only my outlet. And so growing up, I messed around a lot, man, because I didn't have no guidance. So I started, knowing about drugs and selling drugs and seeing it around me through my older peers and family members. And knowing what weed was, knowing what coke was, knowing what KJ was, knowing what pretty much all the hardcore stuff, at a young age, and I try to stay away from it, but at the same time, when you don't have any guidance or anything, you kind of fall into what's around you, and you look up to your older peers for them to look out for you, and that's kind of what happened. So I started down kind of the wrong path at an early age, and I was always getting bounced around too, from household to household. I would live with my grandparents for a summer, and then I would go back to my mom's, and then once it got bad there again, from the fighting and the arguing, I would get shifted back to my grandparents, and this just went on for years. I mean, up until my late teens, and like I said, my only outlet was really my grandfather, and I had got into some trouble when I was 12 years old. I ended up getting thrown into juvenile hall due to having a loaded gun on me, and did a little stay in juvenile hall, and I went through that, and then I remember after I was getting out, my grandfather and my mom actually picked me up, and I remember my grandfather telling me, you need to change, you need to start, being a good kid, and you have the potential, you're smart, and so I kind of try to take those words of advice, and but unfortunately, probably about 4 months after that conversation, I lost my grandfather to cancer, and that was just really devastating, man. Actually, he was in San Joaquin Hospital, not too far from here, and I just remember, really hating God at that point in my life. I had kind of learned about God from my other grandparents, and I knew about him, but I never had a personal relationship with him. I never took it serious. I pretty much was forced to go to church, and then I seen the pretty girls at church, so I figured, hey, I'll just go and check out the girls. But I never committed to God. I never had a relationship with him as far as knowing him personally and knowing what he could do in my life and restoration that he could bring. So after I lost my grandfather to cancer, I was getting ready to start high school, and that's kind of when everything just really took its turn and toll on my life. At this point now, I started picking up selling drugs, and so I started selling drugs for actually one of the homies' uncles, and it was one of my boys, and this was kind of like my right-hand man. He's somebody that I really looked up to, and we started doing that, man. Parents didn't know, my moms didn't know nothing, she was wrapped up in her own lifestyle, and I already witnessed this growing up, and so I was like, man, this is my outlet, this is what I could do to get out of the house, this is what I could do to make money. So at 13, I started selling 8 balls of coke and pushing, bags of weed, and I was doing this, after school, sometimes even be selling them at school, and I lived this double life. I was going to school, making good grades, and playing sports. And at the end of the day, after practice, whatever, I go hustle. And people are always like, man, you always got this, or you always got that. And I hit it well. I never flashed money around, anything like that. And it was just a lifestyle that I really adapted to really well. I was never about that gang life, because I've always believed you should be a leader. And so being in a gang, I felt like everybody was followers, and my thing was money motivated. I wanted to have money. I wanted to be a hustler. I wanted to get it. And so at a young age, I adapted that mentality. At 13 years old, I was a natural born hustler. I could sell ice to an Eskimo. It didn't matter. You gave it to me, I could flip it. And so that was my motivation, really. And by the big homies, always telling me, like, man, you making this, you getting it. It was nice, man. It was nice to get that recognition and get that that insurance that somebody's actually, looking out for me. And so I did that, man, up until I was like 17. And when I reached about 17, an event happened, man, this tragic event. We're at a house party, me and my boy, and some dudes from the other side of town came through and started some drama, some problems. We got in a fight with them, and pretty much to say, the guys couldn't take the L, and so they ended up finding out where we were at. And one night, me and my boy were doing our thing. We're hustling, we're selling, and I had this feeling in my stomach, man. I was like, man, we gotta go. I'm done. I got rid of my last one. Let's roll out. And he was like, nah, man, I gotta push this. I gotta get this money. And just my stomach, man, my stomach was really hurting and feeling bad. I was like, man, we gotta go. As soon as I said that, this car rolls up, and my boy was like, I got this. Let me get this one. And I'm like, go ahead, get your money. And so my boy starts walking towards the car, and he gets about maybe 15, 20 feet away from the car. We used to hustle out of the projects over there on Monitor and Pacheco. There's an apartment complex right there where we used to hustle at. And so we're chilling on this little cinder block bench. So I tell him to go ahead and get his money. And he's walking up, and he gets about 15, 20 feet away from the car. Window rolls down, the guy starts shooting. And my boy gets hit. Gets hit twice in the chest. And pretty much, man, I run to my boy's knee, and he pretty much took his last breath in my arms. And it was something that really changed my life, man, because I had to witness my best friend, this is like my brother, die in my arms. And what ended up happening is the guys ended up getting busted. They ended up actually running a red light and down by me, and they got pulled over and they got caught. And I still remember the district attorney, when they questioned me and everything like that, he told me straight out, he goes, I know you were a part of this. Because I lied and I said, no, man, I found my best friend, he was dead, I'm traumatized right now, and he was like, nah, I know you were there because this is what happened. When I integrated the guys, they brought you up, and they said, that they didn't mean to kill your friend, that they meant to kill you. And that's something that I've had to live with all my life. I realized that, my wrongdoing, my selling drugs, my hot temper, because the guys that we had got into it at the party, I hit one of the guys in the head with a bottle. And so that guy was the one that wanted to be the shooter. And me and my boy dressed alike, black hoodies, black jeans. And so they thought he was me. So they shot at him. But in reality, the bullets were intended for me. So I denied everything to the district attorney. I told him, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, I'm going to do two things for you. He said, two things are going to end up happening to you in your life. He said, by the time you're 18, I'm going to lock you up, or I'm going to be zipping up your body back. He said, so it's up to you. Take this as your get out of free jail card. He goes, because I will be seeing you within a year. So I ended up going back home and everything like that. And I thought about those, those options he gave me. Like, man, can I see myself in prison for the rest of my life? Or is my mom going to have to be burying me, within a year? And so I really sat back and I took that to heart. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up packing up everything, and I took off to Pismo Beach. And I always thought that was paradise to me, man. Coming from the environment that we came in and where we used to live at, I always thought that Pismo Beach was paradise. It was like my Hawaii. So I went out there, man, and 17 years old, still haven't graduated yet. I still have one more year left of high school. And I just really thought, like, man, how am I going to make this work? And I sat there, and that was actually the first time that I've ever spoke to God. And I told God, in my heart, I'm in this position. If you could open up all the doors for me out here, you know, I'll serve you. And literally, I said that prayer, and within a couple of weeks, you know, being out there, I ended up